What's up, brothers and sisters? Peace and blessings. This is a part 2. To do you keep the first commandment? Not the 10, not the 613. Let's just talk about the first step. Now, the first commandment, y'all, as I said in the last video, is very profound and it speaks volumes to why we not keeping it. So let's just go over it one more time. So it says, the Lord thy God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Pause. Who brought us out of Egypt and out of the house of bondage? It wasn't Yahshua, it wasn't Jesus, and it damn sure wasn't nobody from the sky. Again, it was the spirit inside of a living vessel. Now, the spirit is God. The Lord is the one that's hosting the spirit, which was, when we was in Egypt, it was Lord Moses, because the spirit descended upon Moses to make Moses the Lord thy God. Verse 3, thou shalt have no other gods before me. So we don't worship Moses. We don't worship Noah. So why do we worship a man in the sky when God is spirit that's dwelling among us? Looking for the living vessel that's worthy to host the spirit. Because if we all just host the spirit of God, it wouldn't be no prophets, it wouldn't be no angels, it wouldn't be no books. We got the spirit. I tell people all the time, why would I be relying on a book if I got the spirit that's above the book? It makes no sense. So verse 4, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. So why we got pictures? Black or white, we should have no pictures. It says, or any likeness of anything. What does anything mean? That is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Basically saying no images, right? Because we have to worship God in spirit and truth as it is written. That's the kind of worshipers God is looking for. And this first commandment tells you why. Because if you're worshiping Yahshua right now, the spirit not in the sky. The spirit, again, only enters living vessels. God don't change them. So let's go to another verse to show you what vessel you should be looking for. So y'all, this is one of my favorite scriptures to talk about, to make people understand that the prophecy haven't been fulfilled. Christ was to come to finish God's work. Christ didn't come to do a little part, fly away, and then come back and finish the work. No, when Christ show up, the work will be finished. So it ain't no two-part to Christ's story. So let's talk about God Christ and not the Christ you imagine. So we're in Jeremiah 23, let's start at verse 7. It says, therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth. Pause. Who was the Lord that was living? Moses. So when God is redeeming us, God always redeem us with a living vessel from among us. The Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. So the key word in this verse, in verse 7, it says, no more say. We still talking about what Moses did. We still talking about what Moses said. But not the ones who what? Who God has circumcised their eyes, who circumcised their heart, who circumcised their ears. Guess what they saying in 2024? Verse 8, but the Lord liveth. Who is the Lord that's living in 2024? The chosen Son of Man that God has put the Spirit in to become the Lord of hosts, to get us out of what? The house of bondage. As it was prophesied, we was going to be sent back to Egypt on ships. So it says, verse 8, but the Lord that liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country and from all the countries where I have driven them. So what is Jeremiah prophesying about? A Lord that will be living, just like Moses was from among the people living, to bring forth the law. that will remove you from the bondage that we are in. And he will be gathering people from where? All the countries where I haven't driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. See, this is what Christ is supposed to come do. Gather us from the four corners of the earth. Christ wasn't supposed to just come down across. Like, that's why I say you have to cast out the vain imaginations. Now, how do I know Christ is coming from among us? Let's go back to the law. So you don't lose me. Let's go back to the law. Okay. Let's go to Moses' law again, aka Moses' vision, which is why Christ fulfilled the law. A lot of people think when you read Moses' law, oh, this law. No, the law is something that has to be fulfilled by the one that Moses spoke about. As it's written, Moses wrote about me. So let's go. It says, ye shall not do, Deuteronomy 12:4. Ye shall not do so unto the Lord your God. Now, before this 4 verse 4, they was talking about how you supposed to destroy all the names and all the images. We ain't destroyed the names and images. We changed the names, changed the image to a black person, and now we worship the same false image we was given. Because God image is a living flesh and blood. God image ain't in a book, and God image ain't on a picture on the wall. So it says, but unto the place which the Lord your God shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name. So what happened to Moses? God put the name in Moses. The people wouldn't run around in Egypt talking about they had a God in the sky. That's why they was in Egypt, because they thought God was up there. They were worshiping the sun and moon. So we in the house of bondage running around doing the same thing our forefathers did until the living God shows up to speak the spoken word, to give you the food for thought to find the kingdom within. So again, verse 5, but unto the place which the Lord your God shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall ye seek, and thither thou shalt come. So where should we be going to worship God? A living vessel from among the tribes where God has placed the spirit. Jesus in the sky don't control God's spirit. God controls the spirit. And this is why the first commandment is so important, and why it's so important to understand what it means to worship God in spirit and in truth. And as always, my brothers and sisters, I hope the Father has circumcised your hearts and ears for the message. Peace and blessings, y'all. And let's get back to that first commandment. That's the first step to understanding life, understanding God, and entering into God's Sabbath day. Peace.